Welcome to Talk+Water, the podcast that takes a deep dive into the world of water with those making waves. My name is Todd Votteler, and I'm your host for Talk+Water. I'm also the editor-in-chief of Texas+Water and the Texas Water Journal. You can sign up for Texas+Water by visiting texas+water.org, and you can sign up for the Texas Water Journal at texas.waterjournal.org. Both publications are free. My guest today is Josh Newton. Josh is an independent consultant on global water political processes, water governance, and stakeholder engagement, and he's based in Switzerland. Josh is also the Josh in Josh's Water Jobs. So with all the changes going on in the world economically, he's a timely guest to talk about jobs and water jobs. So Josh, welcome and thank you for being part of Talk+Water.
Hey Todd, thanks for having me on. It's great to talk with you and looking forward to the conversation.
Great. So let's start out with your background in water. How did you first become involved with water issues?
Well, I was in my undergrad studying environmental conservation and ended up in an internship in Mendoza, Argentina, where the project I was given was to look at the environmental and socioeconomic impacts of an aqueduct that would be constructed to bring water to a Piedmont area above the city, and was working on those with GIS. So this is the late 90s when GIS was just getting started. And then, getting involved in all the political issues that involved with this aqueduct made me really interested about the multifaceted nature of water. So after that internship in the late 90s, I kind of never looked back and started to get into hydropolitics and transboundary water. And that was kind of the first half of my career was focused on transboundary water issues.
So you worked in Argentina and in South America. You obviously, been doing work, I guess, in Europe. But what other parts of the world have you done work in with regard to water?
Well, my focus is more, say, on the global. So what happens at the global level within the United Nations. As a regional focus, yes, I have more experience in Latin America, but some of the work I've done has been on transboundary issues, have been in Southeast Asia and South Asia, and a little bit in Southern Africa as well.
Oh, wow. You've had a chance to really get a perspective from all corners of the globe, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, I've been very lucky to have the opportunity to be able to see, the commonalities and the differences between the different regions and how water is addressed.
Well, speaking of lucky, finding Josh's water jobs is a lucky thing for a lot of folks who are starting out in their water careers and looking for an opportunity, as well as those who are making mid-career changes. And so I'm, really, really a big fan of your job website, and I got a lot of questions about it. So let's start off with, how did you start that whole operation?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first little, say, nuggets of this started almost 10 years ago now, where, like all of us in our profession, there's a job opening and somebody will ask you to pass it along to your network. And so at one point I got tired of trying to think of everybody who was in my network. So I just made a Word document list with my 30 kind of close water friends. And every time I'd get a job, I'd copy and paste that in the list from the Word document to my Gmail account and send it out. And then, I don't know, it must have been some time after that where I got a few jobs and put them together in a list. And then I started looking for jobs here and there to make the list a little bigger. And so we're talking like 5 jobs a month or something, but then the jobs started to increase. And then I'd be like at Stockholm World Water Week or another conference talking to other young professionals and say, hey, I have this little list. If you're interested to join, it's free. It doesn't come out that often, but, if you're interested. And so I started gathering more emails, and that incentivized me to find more jobs. So both of those started to increase incrementally over years. It was a very slow process. Where ultimately I was getting at 60 jobs a week to 800 people. And at that point, friends were quote unquote complaining about how it was hard to search for the older jobs. So then it made sense to have a database, a searchable database. So that's when the website idea came about. And so, in June this year, it'll be 4 years. I partnered with a middle school friend who's the webmaster and the designer of the website. And so, it's, it just keeps growing in size. So it's been great.
So you have obviously an email list you send it out to, which that's not, I think, the way I found it. I just kind of was directed to it by Michael Campagna's water blog. And so, I know there must be a lot of people just go directly to your website in addition to, the list of folks that you're sending it out to as well.
Yeah, it seems like it. That's shifted over time now, where now it's getting significant enough traffic where any kind of, you look for a water job in Google and something around the website will pop up very high. So I think more and more people are finding it through just doing Google searches now, where initially that wasn't the case. The majority of the traffic still comes directly from the list. There's a big, when it comes out on Tuesdays, there's a big increase in the traffic. But it's the traffic has become more steady because people have bookmarked it now and return frequently. And they like I said, it is coming up more now in Google. So it's been really great to see it increase in that way.
Well, you not only have listings in there, but there are reminders that kind of tell you when the date that you've got to reply by is going to expire, things like that. That's got to be a lot of work to put all of those in that format. You have them listed by where the jobs are offered, whether they're short-term consulting jobs, whether they're internships, all that. Look at that and, running a journal, and kind of, doing it just because I love to do it and not getting paid for it. It's amazing how much work that kind of thing can add up to. I imagine you really must spend a lot of time getting it all just right.
Yeah, it's probably anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a week. Luckily, the way Hank designed the form that I have to fill out online to upload the jobs I've uploaded 20,000 jobs now, so I'm getting kind of used to it. So it's become more efficient. So it's well designed. So when a job pops out, I know all the information that I'm looking for in order to then construct that list, which I have a template for, and then it's you just plug in. It definitely takes a lot of time. The uploading is the biggest chunk of that.
And one of the things that really I find interesting is just, the kind of variety, and kind of some things look like they're really obscure. And really neat too, but I'm like, wow, how did he find that out? So I imagine people now send you positions when they have something coming up and they send things to you. Is that correct? Or?
Well, you would think so, but even after almost 4 years and a lot of organizations benefiting from hopefully good talent coming in from the website, it's still less than 5% is what I get from people. Some organizations are very good, but I still find myself, at least if not more than 95% of the jobs that are on there.
So would you like people to send you openings? Is that something?
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for me. I'd still go through the search I do every week, but if I don't have to, register each of the new ones and that they're that saves me time. And it also, if somebody emails me, I try to upload that as soon as possible. Usually it's within 24 hours. So that guarantees that it gets on the site immediately. Whereas when I'm uploading, I do it by deadline. So if it has a deadline 2 months from now, it doesn't take priority for jobs that have a deadline a week away.
Gotcha. Well, one thing I've noticed is that if you go out and look at, we're not going to name them, but, kind of the big generic job databases, they will have, a lot of like consulting engineering firms, maybe, have jobs listed on there. And, I look at your website, I think, I'm surprised those don't get to you, that they don't send those to you, because I would think, somebody who's, in this field, and has been in it a while, a lot of people know about your website, and it just makes sense to go to something that's much more specific and, with regard to water.
Yeah, it's something that's baffled me, honestly. Even some of the big say consulting firms know about the website, have emailed me a few times, but it doesn't continue. And I don't know if that's because the link within the HR department isn't strong, or these firms are much bigger than just water. So I think there's some of that. The hope is that it would be a more regular thing where I get them sent to me. But yeah, I do my best. And I think, the future, hopefully with a expanding website, there will be more time to actually communicate directly with HR departments, different organizations, in order to create that direct link. So it's automatically done. But I think many HR departments are just not aware. The professionals may be, but the HR departments are not.
So, thinking about your 15 hours or so you're spending every week on this, is anybody else helping you? You mentioned a friend of yours who, I guess, helped you put up or come up with a basic design. But do you have any other volunteers helping you any other way?
So Hank's so he's the designer and, of the website, and keeps the security up, and my business partner in this. So he works on the tech side week to week. In terms of everything else, though, that's right now it's 100% on me. I've had cohorts of volunteers over the years to differing degrees of success. So right now, it's just easier if I'm doing it myself. So I have a little bit more time now, but eventually I'll probably make another call for volunteers to help with uploading more than anything. But the idea eventually would actually to have this all be automated. So it doesn't take my time. It's not the best use of my time to be uploading jobs. So the idea would eventually be to have it all automated when hopefully someday we have more resources to do that with.
Well, if you've done all that, you've probably spent some time looking at how to monetize this. And I noticed that you had at some point you had a GoFundMe account, which looked like you people contributed to it, which I always I look at those and I think, man, there's so many of those. It seems like it's such a kind of being struck by lightning to get one of them that really accumulates something significant. But besides GoFundMe, have you done anything like apply for grants, anything of that nature? I mean, what I love is that, it's a free website. And so, somebody who's looking for a job, that really makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things that from the very beginning, obviously I was doing it, as a list for my Gmail account for years, is that for me, no matter what, looking forward, no matter what I do with the website, it's always going to be free to access the jobs. There will be no limitations put on accessing the jobs, because I go to other websites and I'm frustrated myself about not being able to see more because they're blocked, because there's a paywall. But that's something that kind of in the principles around the website that I really am going to stick with to not have to pay to access. So yeah, and there are other ways to monetize that Hank and I have discussed, and it's a matter of getting the infrastructure there to do it. We don't even have ads on the site, which is even low hanging fruit, if you will. But there's other ideas in terms of just having additional information around the jobs available for pay, to have featured jobs so that organization can pay to post, because it's also free to post the jobs, but they could pay, and then it's highlighted or rises to the top every week. And then eventually what we want to set up is a whole recruitment tool that we can do recruitment process outsourcing. So we can do recruitment processes for organizations that may not have a big HR team or trust our ability to find good talent through the network. So those are all ideas, but they all require infrastructure that hopefully with time we'll be able to implement.
I like those. Those are great ideas. So how could our listeners support Josh's Water Jobs right now? If there was a way they could contribute to it, what would you suggest they do?
So right now there's a link at the top right-hand part of the page that says support. And those are the different ways that the listeners or people who go to the website can contribute to the website. And eventually, if people don't want to contribute monetarily, then eventually I'll probably be making a call and for volunteers, and even an hour a week, something like that is helpful to me. It's less time that I have to spend on the website. So yeah, right now, and then spreading the word. I mean, it's just, more traffic, the more jobs, the better. I mean, honestly, getting people just to send jobs and have more volume of jobs, especially right now, with what the world is going through, that's one of the most valuable things actually people can do.
Well, that is a good way to pivot to my next question here. Now that the world's entered this period of economic contraction and instability as a result of COVID-19, are you seeing more use of your website? And how have you seen, I guess, any signs that are reflected in your job website from the pandemic and the slowdown economically globally?
Yeah. So about a month ago or so, 3 weeks ago, there was actually a big downturn in traffic to the website for a week or two. And I'm not sure what that was about, but it seemed like at that point it was a very low point worldwide. So I think people were occupied with other things in terms of then, say, switching jobs. But since then, it's kind of back to quote unquote normal. And this last week was actually had even a slight uptick. And the number of users is about the same. But what I've noticed more is the jobs available. I mean, that's what it's been. It's still kind of, it hasn't taken a bigger dip than it's gone down slower than I thought it would. So it's actually been quite positive in terms of the number of jobs available. The website right now is about 120 a week. It's usually higher than that, but all things considered, it seems to me quite positive. There's still jobs being offered, and scholarships offered in internships and consultancies. And the who's hiring, I think that has shifted a little bit. You can definitely see some organizations have hiring freezes because all jobs have stopped coming from them when they're usually more regular. And so, I mean, I literally almost cross my fingers every week that there's still, more jobs are going to be come out for the people going to the website, especially for the graduating class. I mean, that's my concern is they're, entering the workforce at a really unfortunate moment. So that those are the jobs I really try to keep an eye out for, is kind of those entry level positions. So there have been a little changes. I think water and sanitation, obviously hugely important for the current crisis. So hopefully those jobs will maintain and people will keep hiring.
So it sounds like you saw a pattern where the traffic slowed down. I'm wondering, that's the point where people are standing in line at the grocery store, or in the process of hunkering down and getting everything in place to hunker down. And I think the first wave of job losses here, were more folks who were in the gig economy, things, positions like that. And then maybe the uptick now, you're seeing layoffs and of professionals in various organizations here in the U.S. And I'm wondering if that's maybe kind of the next pattern that you might kind of see in your job website.
Yeah, my guess on this, and it's kind of a guess, is that I think this year things, at least on the water side, internationally and in the U.S., I think there'll be a downturn, but I think it'll actually be kind of stable. I think next year is where the more of a bigger impact we'll see, because it kind of budgets are set for this year. And so unless there's a major shifting of budgets, that won't change. But when budgets are made for next year, that may be where we see more of an impact in terms of new hiring or laying off.
Well, that raises another kind of interesting question. You get people who are getting ready to graduate from college, or I guess maybe it's starting into this month, and they're graduating into a terrible job market. And I remember when I finished college in the mid to late 80s, I graduated into a poor job market for environmental jobs. The federal government was one of the big employers of those jobs back then here in the U.S., and there was a hiring freeze on. It's nothing like the situation that the current crop of college graduates are going to face. But, one thing that stands out is, for me, it was very helpful to have internships, even though some of them I didn't get paid for. It helped me build up my resume and helped me with getting into graduate school and helped me with other jobs that I applied for later on. You do have a lot of internships listed, it seems like. So, hopefully folks who are trying to figure out some direction once they graduate, maybe that'll be an option for them to do some of that kind of work while they're waiting for the economy to recover somewhat.
Yeah, and that's totally what I recommend. Even before this, when graduates were having trouble getting jobs, is internship is one way, but it's to try to stay busy and productive in some way, and that's whether that's an internship or volunteering in some way with something water related, local basin organization, basin council, or writing. I don't know, even developing a podcast. It's just something that kind of continues the learning and continues getting out there. And then, talking to people, emailing to try to reach out to different organizations that eventually might want to work for, and just putting themselves out there. But I think the important thing is just staying productive, because it's easy, I think, once getting out of that, the trajectory changes. So I think it's just important to try to stay productive. Like I've even gone through that during my career where I had a hard time finding a job for a period of time. And I think what I tried to do is just stay productive and stay involved in the water community.
Well, those are great suggestions. I especially like your podcast suggestion, which I can tell you that anybody can start a podcast. If I could do it, anybody can do it. It's really not difficult at all, and there's so much on the web that you can access to tell you how to do it. I recommend people do that, or just be guests on my podcast. That'd be good too. Well, let's go ahead and end here, Josh, and if you could just tell us again what the address is on the web for Josh's Water Jobs. I know someone can just put Josh's Water Jobs in the search engine and it'll pop up, but for us old timers, what's the address as well?
Yeah, it's very easy. It's www.joshswaterjobs.com.
Great. All right. Well, listen, thank you for, being my guest today and talking about your website. I really have enjoyed looking at it. It's just, to me, it's interesting just to see the variety of things that people doing around the world, which is, the website's a gauge of that. You see what, new initiatives people are interested in and how they are being implemented by the folks that they're looking for and where they're looking for them. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. It's great chatting. And hope to do so again soon.
Okay, great. Thanks. So this has been Talk+Water. My guest today was Josh Newton, an independent consultant on global water political processes, governance, and stakeholder engagement. Josh is also the Josh in Josh's Water Jobs, and I highly recommend that you go check that out. It's a great website for water jobs, and if you're out there and you've got a water job that you know about, I suggest you send it to Josh. So, again, my name's Todd Votteler, the host of Talk+Water. Let's talk water again soon.